All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Co-Creating the New Earth with the Fae and the She, my live program on YouTube. I am Marguerite Rigoglioso, and I am the director of Seven Sisters Mystery School. I am here today with the absolutely wonderful friend, sister priestess, colleague, Amba'Aliana'Hi, and we will be engaging in conversation today. Um, First, I want to just welcome everybody who is coming live and who will be here on into the future as we make this video available. We are so appreciative of your being here visiting us. We are offering a full radiance sacred heart meditation to you, a journey that I take you on with Mother Mary for free. So right next to this video, you can click on that and receive that. And I hope you enjoy it. We always appreciate you subscribing to this YouTube channel, liking this video, sharing it on Instagram and Facebook. And we always appreciate super chats, donations that you can offer here on this page by, there's a button that you can click, I believe, or a link. And those proceeds go to supporting the operation of Seven Sisters Mystery School. So we really, really appreciate it. All right, without further ado, we are bringing Amba'Aliana'Hi. And Amba, I'm not sure if those are chimes that are in the background or if you're playing a music, but we can sort of hear them. So you might want to, I'm not sure if there's any adjustment you can make, but if it's an outside thing, that's fine.
I can. Yes, those are my chimes outside my window, calling in the fairies.
We'll
and
just work with them then. I just thought if it was a musical video or audio or something like that,
I can close the window if that would be helpful.
It might be, just because then we'll be able to hear you better without distraction.
Sure. Give me one moment.
As you are doing that, I'm going to introduce you. All right.
Okay.
So Amba is a Lyran starseed human from Lyra, and holds the vibration of Lemurian love fire. Lemurian love fire. You can feel that in your bones, any of you who are interested in ancient Lemuria. She is a carrier of the original Tree of Life templates within her DNA, she has discovered, and she'll be talking more about that. She's here on a mission, as are many of you, to restore peace, love, and harmony. And her angle is within the ancient tree, the human DNA, and the planetary grid system, because of course, human DNA is a holographic representation of the planetary grid system. And so you can connect your body to Earth and do different healings and operations that way. Amba is the mother of her school called Harmonic Garden, Earth Guardian Mystery School. She is an ambassador for the ancient trees, woohoo. And she's an ambassador for the Divine Mother. And, so many of us are in that grouping, right? She's also an indigo walk-in spirit. All right. We might have her discuss a little bit of that, who's working under the Emerald Covenant. And some of you are familiar with what that is. If you are connected with the Guardian groups through Lisa Renee or Asheana Dean or Indigo Angel. They don't own it, obviously, but they are large messengers for this information. But Amba also is working under the Emerald Covenant to assist the Earth in its reharmonization. She's a spiritual healer. She does private sessions and groups here in the Berkshires and beyond, sound healings online and so forth. And she's a priestess of Mu under the Melchizedek Colister order. We might have her talking about that. So a priestess of Mu, a priestess of ancient Lemuria. She works in co-creation with the Guardian Alliance and the Galactic Earth Guardians, with the white animal kingdom, all right? The white lions, the white buffaloes, and so forth. She works with the Elven elders, and I would say she is one. All righty. And her cat is obviously making an appearance. She also works with the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the Council of 12. So that is a big lineup and a big background that she has. So, Amba, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. Thank you, Marguerite. It's such an honor. And yeah, I look forward to our conversation today. My kitty has settled, and I think we're ready.
Yeah, and Amba is a friend of mine. We live together, we not together, but we live in the Berkshires. In a way we do. But we live in the Berkshires, which is Western Massachusetts. And we met here, and we've been doing play and work and ceremony together for a few years now. But Amba, let's have you start by talking about what is it, what have been your experiences that have led to that amazing background that I just described, and your guardianship of the trees. And, what does this mean to you? So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
All right. So, wow. Well, of course, it's a journey, it's a story, and I'm going to be as precise and quick as I can.
Good, because we want to get to
that alone is lifetimes of wisdom that has been integrated into my soul. So, in 2010, it started before then, but I was birthed into a family that allowed me to speak my original heart language. So I greet you all from my heart light. And that was a blessing. And it began to awaken me at a very young age to be interdimensionally connected to the rivers and the trees. And then, of course, growing up in this world, I lost that connection. And then as the divine had planned it, I was actually in a near-death experience in 2010. I was in an avalanche in Colorado. And that was all planned. I had a dream while working with a Hawaiian kahuna that this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. And I was protected by the raven spirits. Although I tried to stop it from happening, it still happened. And I didn't die in my physical vessel, but what happened was it was like all of the DNA coding in my body activated, and I started seeing interdimensionally, multidimensionally, and reconnected with the Melchizedek Colister Emerald Order at that time. So I was walking around in the physical reality doing my healing works, but all of a sudden I was seeing people's past lives. I instantly, they would come into my aura, and I would see movies and videos and of their past lives and where they had been and who they were as a soul, what star constellations they were from. I started seeing parasitic entities and energies, and having to extract energies from people that I had no idea or foundation how to do this, but I was being shown how to do it by the councils of light. And so the councils of 12 connected with me at that time, and they began to initiate me at very high levels. And it was super, super intense. They took me through incredible healing chambers and started recollaborating my DNA coding, and started sharing with me a lot of information about who I was as a galactic mother of creation. And I thought I was going crazy. I wrote journals and journals about all this information. I was told that I was a carrier of original codes for the planet, and I was here to activate the ancient tree, and I was here to birth a new consciousness onto the planet to unite the tribes in harmony at the ancient tree. And I had no foundation of what this meant. And so I burnt all of my journals. Ooh. And because I thought that it was all made up. Wow. So I let it go, and I continued on my path trying to integrate myself. And then I was in another avalanche in Alaska. And after that avalanche, the Melchizedek Colister Emerald Order, my high teachers, the Holy Order of the Unisai, the Sacred House of One, the Ianis, the original peoples, came to me in my awareness, and they said, you have a choice. You can either decide to go on your mission, and we will guide you, or you can go on the path that you're going to go on, and you're really going to struggle. And so I chose to do my path. And it was quite an initiation. It was a 7-year initiation into shamanic earth medicine.
Yeah.
So they led me to work with the indigenous peoples across the planet to learn about the earth and the workings and the medicines of the earth, the kingdoms of the earth, and all the levels and layers of this sacred earth. And through those initiations, I started working deeply with the plant kingdom and the trees. They really assisted me in grounding this high dimensional light that was coming through my consciousness into the earth plane. And they, because I was so open, that anytime I would go into the forest, the trees would just begin to communicate with me. And they were starting to share with me wisdom, about the web of life and how we were all interconnected, and how the plants in their original form were able to locate, and communicate through the realms and the kingdoms. They begin to share information with me about the multi-dimensional aspects of Mother Gaia, that this is a multi-dimensional world, and that the trees and the plants and the guardians of these kingdoms were multi-dimensional worlds, that they were portals into other realms and worlds and dimensions. And so I studied with, Quechua and Aztec and Mayan elders, and I learned sacred traditions of Temazcal and sweat, and working with sacred medicine plants. And I ended up working with elders from the star elders of the Lakota Nation, learning how to be a carrier of earth wisdom to do planetary grid work, and found myself working with a woman whose name is White Eagle Medicine Woman, who is in communion with the grandmothers and the grandfathers, and doing deep planetary grid work on the 64 UVB grid with her, working with elders from Colombia and Ecuador, learning about the spirits of the mountains, the spirits of the lakes and the waters, and really the keepers, the original guardians of this planet here. And so that was a 7-year initiation. And then at the end of that initiation, it was intense. It was like a dark night of the soul, because I had to heal myself completely in order to be able to be a carrier of this wisdom. And in 2015, in a ceremony, I was told that I was going to have a soul exchange. And I was extremely scared. I had never heard of a soul exchange before. And this was new knowledge to me. And my grandfather said that my higher essence from the star constellation of Lyra was coming in, and that she was here to do she was here on a planetary mission. And they gave me her name, and I tried to integrate her vibration into this physical template, and I couldn't do it. And so I let it go. And over a period of 2 years, I was initiated into deeper Lemurian energies. My memories as a priestess in Mu started coming online. And my priesthood and priestesshood and Mu, those elders started contacting me, and they told me that I was to awaken my Lemurian Akash by going back to the original tree of Lemuria. And so I started traveling multidimensionally to the original tree of life in Lemuria and reconnecting my nervous system and my DNA into this tree and activating my memory codes. And at that time, I was given a name, and they told me that my name in Lemuria was Ambaris, and that was the essence of the Lemurian love fire. And that my soul essence is basically to ignite love within all of life. And so I carried on that path, and actually I had forgotten about this walk-in spirit. And then in 2019, my star elders, specifically the White Lions of Timbavati, they showed up and they said, "Dear daughter, are you ready for your mission?" And I was like, well, I think I'm doing my mission. You know, I've been doing tree ceremonies and doing my healing work and sharing my spiritual work. And they said, your walk-in spirit is ready to incarnate fully into your body. And actually, who you were has not been here for 6 years. So who the spirit that I was born with, she had left already. So the soul exchange had already taken place, but this consciousness was not aware completely of what that was. And the White Lions of Timbavati said that it was required for you to activate your Lemurian template in order for you to be able to anchor Amba'Aliana'Hi here in this physical body. Wow. Because Amba's frequency is extremely high. So there was a lot of recollaboration that had to take place in order to get my vibration high enough in this template, in this physical template, to hold Amba'Aliana'Hi. So I was given my my name. My Lyrian starseed name is Yanawahali. My Lemurian name is Ambaris, and the two of them together, which is now who is in here, is those two essences of myself linked into one, into this physical template and DNA, is Amba'Aliana'Hi. And I was given this name through a Lemurian Mu priestess holder, and she didn't know my story. So it was a full integration of it took 7 years for Amba'Aliana'Hi to really come into my physical vessel. And that actually just took place in July on my human birthday. Amba'Aliana'Hi, I was working in a sacred ceremony with Pam Montgomery with a plant called Lady's Mantle, which is a plant of the new earth. She has an original template of golden light, and through that golden light frequency, Amba'Aliana'Hi has now anchored into this physical temple. And Amba, my mission as Amba is to unite the 12 celestial tribes at the ancient trees in co-creative partnership with the shining ones. In order to bring peace, love, and harmony to the planet and anchor in the new earth frequencies through the physical trees, through the great grandmother trees or the buttes of Mother Earth, reactivating those buttes to their original tree essence. And in the process, that heals the DNA template because it is connected into us.
Wow.
So in a brief moment, that is the long story.
Marguerite is happy to know who it is she's having sushi with when she is having sushi with you. So thank you for the clarification. So
Right.
that is amazing.
But I
Uh,
am just me, I just am the essence of my soul. So all
yeah,
of that is just a story.
well,
And in reality, it's just, I am just my eternal presence.
that's right. And it's like in different sort of forms weaving into you and having expression at times. Um, we have some beautiful comments. A man named Greg is talking about saving rare tree species, that this is so important, and that these allies have so much to teach us about collaboration with each other.
Mhm.
Philip is saying, thank you. This is inspiring and will help me on my hikes amongst the remaining old growth redwoods in California. Philip, I know it is the one thing that I miss from California, because I lived there for 20 years. And honestly, I realized that's what actually drew me there. I thought it was graduate school, but it really was the redwoods.
Mhm.
So they are sacred. They are just so beautiful. So a few things that I want to return into, and we welcome questions and comments as people are watching live, for Amba, for both of us, so that we can advance this conversation and have like a community kind of dialogue here. Um, Amba, very, very fascinating what you said about the buttes. For example, you and I have talked about this. The horrifically named Devil's Tower, renamed Devil's Tower, which originally, as you know, is called Bear's Teepee, or Bear's, dwelling or lodge. That, when you look at it, you're like, oh my God, that looks like a massive redwood tree that has gotten cut off, among other things. And, there are ancient legends, various ones, about what this is. And I, even before going there twice, because I just intuitively go like you, where I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be going to Wyoming. I saw something where there was a cutout, or I forget what you call it, but it's like of roots beneath it. Like somebody has tracked and done a cutaway where it looks like roots beneath it. And I thought, oh my goodness, and this was all happening when I was going there on my birthday last year, on 2021, excuse me. And so this idea of these world trees, these grandmothers that seem to be now cut off and seem to be stone. Have they petrified? Were they always stone, or have they turned into a crystalline matrix? Or, are they able to better transmit through that rather than, organic material? Let's have you talk about this, because I feel like co-creating the new earth is in large part about connecting with this ancient tree network, which is very much connected to the shining ones, the she, and the fairy races, which they sort of are guardians of, as I see it. So let's have you talk more about these grandmother trees that we thought were stones, stone outcroppings.
So I'm going to speak in a language and then I will translate. So long ago, long ago, when the earth was in harmony. This is actually before the time of Lemuria. We open our consciousness to understand that there are ancient civilizations way before the time of Lemuria. Lemuria was actually very close. And there were grandmother trees, and these trees were seeded from the original tree within our universe that was then seeded from the divine source creator tree, the sacred geometrical patterning that came down and filtered. And so those seeds came through and planted themselves on the planet. And It was us. It was the original guardians, founders races who came to seed this earth that brought forth these grandmother trees here. And they were filled with the original codes of harmony, peace, love, light, joy, abundance, all of the divine essences of Creator. And
Eden energies.
Eden energies, yes. They were the mothers. So they were the ones who were designed to birth all the other seeds of creation. So we brought these mother seeds here that then became these ancient mother trees. And the ancient mother trees were designed to connect into the organic life template of all beings. And that we were, anyone who lived on this planet, were designed to connect into this tree of life to receive its nutrients, the starlight, to receive eternal life essences. And these mother trees, because they were the carriers of the original codes, and then they birthed all the seeds of all the other plants and animals.
And at that time, Amba, were they organic life, or were they more like crystalline? Because like right now they're in a crystalline form as stone.
They were not crystalline. They were more like a light liquid substance, like plasmic in their form. So, I mean, we would see it at that time as a certain density, but it was not a density. It was, we were different too. Our whole elemental being was different. So, but over time, what happened was, during the time of Lemuria, when the Galactic Wars came in and the split between the masculine and feminine took place.
Right. Okay. So this is what I've received too, and Rudolf Steiner and others, that once we were hermaphroditic or androgynous beings, whole masculine, feminine together, and then this splitting happened into male and female. And that was a great shock, to the human form. And do you think that happened through unfriendly forces?
Yes.
Okay.
So negative forces got in through kind of like a wormhole that was opened. And through that, when the split came between the masculine and feminine, they also cut down the trees. And so they cut us off from our connection to source.
Right. And there we are floating around in the firmament going, hello, what are we doing here? Who are we?
Exactly. And that's when everything started to solidify and lower in dimension, because we were cut off from the original template, the fully activated template, and slowly our DNA shut off. And of course, there's, this is a very simplistic way of looking at something that is very complex.
Right.
So, because this is a very complex, and there's many things that happened. That was just the beginning of it, was when we were cut off from these trees. And so this happened one by one over thousands of years. They cut down these trees. We were not just in Lemuria, in the Hawaiian Islands. We were a very intelligent worldwide network. And there were mother trees with angelic beings from all over the universe living on this planet, connected into the organic matrices through the ancient trees all over the earth. And so one by one, these trees were cut down, and one by one, each tree got cut down. We were disconnected from the original true source, because it filters right down to the ancient tree, which is connected into our DNA.
And what I'm receiving here, Amba, is that then they attempted to create artificial connecting devices through things like pyramids, obelisks, towers, and so forth, sometimes with positive intention.
Yeah.
Those who were in, positive energy, and sometimes with very negative intention, where they really weren't connecting to source, but they were connecting to a false matrix, a negative matrix, an inverted grid, or whatever you want to call it, and then pulling in those energies that way.
Yeah. And this actually is really linked into the moon matrix, the false moon matrix, and then how they tried to siphon the holy feminine energy from the woman, and created a false matrix through the moon.
Yeah, right. And then controlled us in a kind of cyclical menstruality, that we never even needed to have when we were together as male, female together, and birthing at will, parthenogenetically, and bringing in divine beings by nature.
Yes.
So, okay. So again, we are so happy to have people live with us. We're welcoming your comments and questions also, so that we can go further and deeper. I thank you so much for that clarification. And then it seems like the organic trees, the large mothers, grandmothers, were like children of these, right? And so then what you have is, let's say, the redwoods, who are still somehow carrying that connectivity valence. And the Native Americans that I knew of in California said these are heart healing trees. They will connect, they will heal matters of the heart, both physical and emotional. And whenever I would go there, I would just be hearing them talk. This was like before I was even awake, back 30 years ago, whatever it was. So those redwood trees, and then the large trees, had to continue to get cut. So then the natural groves that were like the daughters of the mother trees, and then you have 90 or more % of the redwoods being cut, supposedly for building materials. But we know this is all a part of a larger program that went along with cutting the Native American people and the indigenous all around the world. And, those groves were cut down, those sacred groves. Mm-hmm. So we are limping along, trying to connect back up with source through inner means and developing our inner tree of life, and so forth. And we can still go to these trees that remain. There are still some old growths all around the U of Fortingal, various redwoods in California, which ignominiously have been named with generals' names. It's ridiculous, and so forth and so on. But we can go there to assist us in this connectivity, doing meditation, doing ceremony. There is a vibration you will get from literally being in the presence or touching these trees. And this, remembering that we need to get back to trees, is such a big part of the co-creation of the new earth again. So, Amba, let's talk about, let's just see, there's a couple of comments here. They cut down and destroyed 90% of the ancient grandmother trees, Casey is saying, in Ireland, and eradicated our ancient language to the trees. Okay. Yes. The native languages that are connected vibrationally to source and all that, they had to go. All these things had to go according to these negative agendas. I just got on which trees now still hold the Lemurian codes. Is it the Amazon? I would say for sure the redwoods, wherever there's a grandmother tree, right? Amba, what would you say about that?
Yeah, well, so the original Lemurian tree birthed the seeds to the other trees, and then they spread themselves across the planet. So there are incredible grandmother and grandfather trees that are holding the Lemurian codes. And actually, this is what I'm called to do, is to go to these trees and to activate that Lemurian coding upon the planet through the trees again. So right now, what I've been shown is grandfather ginkgo and grandmother ginkgo are carriers of the Lemurian codes. The baobab tree is a carrier of the Lemurian codes. The eucalyptus tree in Australia are carriers of these codes. the redwood trees and the sequoias. There are trees in the Amazon, but they are highly protected by ancestral spirits, and there's a lot of navigation and a lot of careful respect and honor that has to come about before those trees are ready to be activated into the Lemurian light, because a lot of those lineages and lines are still being recollaborated. Their DNA coding is still being healed, and there is a lot of forces that we are clearing off the planet that is linked into the Amazon that have taken home in those realms. So yes, the Amazon, there are wise, incredible trees connected into Lemuria there, but it's going to take a little while before we have access and that is ready to activate. And for right now, this is what I've got is with the Lemurian trees, it's the work that I'm doing, it's called the Planetary Tree Grid, is we're going to be activating one tree a month until it's complete. I was told it's a 13-year mission. Wow. And, we're going to start out with one tree a month and we'll see what comes. It might slow down, but really has nothing to do with my timeline. It's all in the timeline of the Christos Sophia dragon ley line and how ready is the planetary grid system, how activated is it in order to hold these codes. Yes. So it's like it's all interwoven. So the planetary grid system has to be at a certain frequency, meaning the DNA of the planet has to be at a certain frequency in order for the original codes of life to activate here on this planet. So it is all in divine time.
And that's where, ladies and gentlemen, you and I come in, because in clearing and personally healing, we raise our vibration, we activate our higher elements of DNA. We can also consciously activate those and clear out some negative aspects of our DNA that we don't want in our template anymore. And then we grow as a grid around the planet, so that it starts with you sitting on your meditation cushion. Then we can grow together doing these activations like you're doing, Amba. Indigo Angel is teaching people how to be light worker certified so that we can do grid work, or what she calls grid work certified, so that we can do grid work on the planets to clear out some of these portals and amplify the energies and get the natural grids going again, so that we can then activate these trees and so forth. So it's all, this is about co-creating the new earth. Each one of us is important. Every time you go to whatever grandmother tree is in your forest and you can identify them, they're the biggest one. They're the one who holds your little yard in the back, the one, where you go hiking. Give an offering, spend some time, embrace it, merge with it, say hello, say I'm here to support you in this grid work activation, and hear it say, and I'm here to support you, So we have people, Lindsay, talking about the cedars in the Pacific Northwest that are very powerful, Siberian cedars, trees in the Grand Canyon area, mulberry trees. Okay. And yes, we've got Eru, our beautiful sacred blanket maker in Ireland, asking, can Amba say anything about the rowan trees in Ireland that are associated with the Tuat De Danann, the shining ones, the she? Can you say anything about that?
Well, the rowan trees, so they need to be protected, is what I'm getting, is because they are portals into the realms of light within the kingdoms of the shining ones. So those who are guardians of those trees, if you're called to the rowan trees, spend time with them and do what you can in order to protect them. And this means physically, but also spiritually as well. So Yeah. As far as the trees go and their medicine. So, right, yes, the trees, each one have medicine. They each have a divine vibrational frequency tone of the original tree of creation that matches into our DNA. And some of them are portals and pathways of light into the original worlds that are still in existence here on the planet. So those trees need to be protected. The ones that are portals into the other worlds that are hosting the kingdoms and the realms of the magic world, that is super important that those trees be protected.
All right, we've got our missions, everybody, that you can add that to your list, And but before we continue, first of all, I want to thank Maven's Keep for her little super chat there. We appreciate that. We always accept super chats, which are donations that you can give by clicking on. They go to the operations expenses of Seven Sisters Mystery School and things like this YouTube Live. But we are also just happy to have you here, lending your energy. A couple of people are asking how they can connect with you and your tree training and activation and so forth. And we'll talk about this again at the end, but let's just go into it right now.
Yeah, great. Thank you for asking. I'm so grateful to share. So you can find me at theharmonicgarden.com. I just birthed the Earth Guardian Mystery School, and I have a program coming up starting November 7th. And this will be the first Planetary Tree Grid ceremony that we will be accessing through Grandfather Ginkgo. So November 7th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that tree ceremony will start the Planetary Tree Grid. And Grandfather Ginkgo is really important because he is the one who holds the knowledge and the wisdom behind this planetary tree grid and the original Akash of it. And there's a huge story that goes with this. The trees, if I want to, can I share this very quickly?
Yes.
So for quite a while, there's been tree councils, elders, trees coming together in councils. A lot of them wanted to leave the planet. They were ready. They were like, we are getting cut down. We are being disrespected. We do not want to be here holding this vibrational frequency for the planet anymore. Ooh. Well, Grandfather Ginkgo, the first original spirit, came forth and he held council within the trees elders, and he brought them together and he said, listen, this is our original agreement with the mother tree, and I have an idea. And this idea is to communicate with the humans who have the original codes activated in their DNA, and to get them to come to the trees and activate us with the original light codes and create a grid of networking with us and the Mushroom Kingdom in order to anchor in the new frequencies here. Yeah. And so Grandfather Ginkgo is the one who came up with this, master plan to create this planetary grid of trees that will help to anchor in the original light of the planet again. But it's through the humans. So it's through us awakening our DNA and our original codes. And then we go to these trees and we work in co-creation and we activate that down into the roots. Mm-hmm. And this is what the Planetary Tree Grid is about. So that's November 7th. And then the first giant grandmother tree activation is going to be on December 20th. Okay. So that will be the first butte that we will activate.
Where's that now?
It's still coming into form. There's 2 buttes right now that are really working with me, and I'm still feeling into it. What is needed and what we are ready to activate here on the planet. It's Uluru, which has already been activated. There might need to be a little bit more activation there for consciousness. The next one would be White Buffalo Calf Woman Butte or Bear Butte in
which I also went to.
Yep.
I don't, you know, I'm just walking around like I'm supposed to be here. Wow. Okay.
So those are the two.
Bear Butte would be a little easier to get to for those of us who live in the United States.
Yes. This is all done by locally. I mean, of course,
okay.
You know, once our community forms and we can come together and do this in person, and that's really what is being called forth. But right now we're calling the communities together, and actually it's wonderful because in certain places like this, like Seven Sisters Mystery School is bringing people together to understand what is needed. And also, you know, there's so many people with this wisdom coming forth right now. And it's about us coming together in council and listening and understanding what actually needs to take place here. Not only on a physical level, but on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
There are so many spiritual things that need to be done on this planet that we have not tapped into yet.
Yeah.
And this is where it starts. We filter this, the spiritual energy filters down into the physical.
That's right. And doing that heart healing and that spiritual work, that personal emotional healing is such a critical part of that. You cannot go out there and really be an effective activist in anything in the spirit realm if you are not doing that work along with it. So even if your mission is just to do as much healing on yourself as you can, and you never do anything with trees or anything, you are contributing to the well-being and the evolution of humanity. And I really encourage you to do that. Like, tune into what level do you want to be involved in with this? And that might also shift over time. Don't exhaust yourself, you know. Gwen is asking, what does butte mean? Well, it means like an extrusion on the earth that either feels like a hill or mountain, or a cut off, you know, plateau, right? Okay. So go look up Devil's Tower / Bear's Teepee. Go look up Bear's Butte. So Devil's Tower is in Wyoming. Bear Butte is in South Dakota. Where else? You're saying Uluru. Where else are these?
Arizona. There's the Three Sisters in Arizona. You may have seen that photo with the three plateaus, the buttes that were all together. That's a major one that's opening up. They're all over the earth, these all over, and they're huge. I mean, massive. But you have to remember that we were light beings. We were multidimensional beings at that time.
Yeah, and large.
Yes, we were big beings.
Yeah.
So and small at the same time, you know.
Yeah. I'm so happy to see Lindsay, our fairy, Lindsay Swope, who leads the Fairy and Human Relations Congresses and other beautiful things, to be with us live. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Lindsay. As well as, you know, everybody who's here. Again, let's keep these comments and questions going. I want to shift slightly to talk about, this came to me in meditation. It's not so much a butte, but it is a mountain, and it's called Mount Greylock. Mm-hmm. Or it was named Mount Greylock, which is like a horrible name. Gray and lock. Two things you just don't want and don't want going together. What grays are we talking about, given that there has been reports going back to the 60s of people getting taken up into ships all along the Route 7 corridor in Berkshire County. There was a whole big episode on Unsolved Mysteries where these poor, still traumatized people, now in their 50s and 60s, are trying to talk about it and get heard. But if you go back down into like the Egremont area, there's another town down there. There literally is. Have you gone down there, Amba? Have you seen? There's a plaque attesting herein there was a UFO sighting, people had interactivity, whatever it was, and it is right there. I mean, I just stumbled upon it one day. I'm forgetting what the actual name of the town is. It might come to me. Let's talk about this Mount Greylock. Say it again.
Sheffield?
Yes, Sheffield. Perfect. I knew it started with an S. Sheffield, you can go right down there. And that guy, whoever got that thing up there, was adamant. He's like, look, something frickin' happened to me and other people. We have to mark this. What is this all about? And I want to talk a little bit about, before we go about back to trees, this mountain. Mm-hmm. Now, a while back, was all of a sudden sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, am I seeing lenticular clouds? Because I live like 4 miles away from this thing. So lenticular clouds are always cloaked craft, right? And I'm like, I think I'm seeing lenticular clouds. And then I had been doing ceremony and I'm like, oh my gosh, these abduction stories, Mount Greylock, which is the highest mountain in Massachusetts. And they always pick the highest mountains of an area to mess up by putting on there either a concrete cap or a mysterious concrete cube that nobody knows why is it there, or like they have over there, a bizarre war monument that looks like a nipple, a false portal, I mean, it's horrific. And everyone's like, oh, a war monument, let's go, we're tourists, blah, blah, blah. Hello, the thing has been abducted. Mm-hmm. So the point I'm getting to here is twofold. One is I want to hear your take on this mountain. And I know if you've done work there, what still needs to be done. And then pointing out to people to be aware of what are your local trees, your grandmother trees? What are your local mountains? What's going on there, right? How can you contribute and participate safely in the reclamation and clearing of these areas and the communication with the healthy portal again? So tell me, Amba, what you know about this Mount Greylock.
So yes, it's fascinating because actually I was working with some of my Navajo elders, my star elders of the Navajo Nation, and they tuned in to this land and they said, whoa, there is a lock on the mountain there.
Hello, Greylock. I mean, it's like
they had no idea that was the name of the mountain. And so we called in the starships and we did a lot of planetary grid work on that grid. So on the high peaks are where there are major vortices and grid lines. And then if those are the forces that are trying to reverse the eternal life frequencies, meaning that they're feeding off of life and they're not feeding off a source, is the way that they do that is they put their matrices or a hologram at these major incession points or stargates on our planetary Earth, because those places at the mountains is where the star energies flow into the planet and feed this planet with eternal life frequencies. And so when they come in and they put their monuments and they implant a false matrice of death upon that planet, upon that point on the Earth, it affects the DNA of human consciousness because our original template is connected into the organic matrice of this planet. Right. That's how they are affecting humans.
Right. So this is a whole bizarre thing. You go up there and it is like names of dead people, a war monument. Okay. Yeah. Yes, let's honor.
So they're locking it
not
there.
On the major mountain of, Massachusetts.
Yeah, and that actually is an incredible ley line that is full of abundant energy, and you can see the polarities there. So one place flows the abundance down into Lenox, Massachusetts, and you see all of these old mansions with their doors facing the mountain to suck in that energy.
Yeah,
But
well,
on the other side, you have, a place that is not abundant in its form. There's a lot of
it's filled.
poverty and a lot of lower um, energy forms that are not where equality is not there.
That's right.
So it affects the whole energy of the place
Yeah.
when there are these locks on and the DNA and the amount of conscious energy that's coming into those ley lines. So it's quite fascinating. Greylock specifically, the work that we can do there, I say that if you want to do this type of work, you need to learn how. It
Okay.
is, yeah.
So I am taking Indigo Angels class on grid work interventions and things. So I will know, and I will join with you, and we will create an event there or, around it, because it feels like there's still work to be done. Now, I don't know about you. When I look at it, I feel like I'm seeing an empty moon crater, like something's been cleared out,
Mhm.
but it's dormant. Nothing has been reactivated. I don't know. Is that what you see when you look at it, or what do you know about it?
Yeah, that's a fascinating way to put it. It does look hollow. It does feel a little hollow. It almost feels like soulless, like it's
Yes,
lost its
soulless
soul. Uh-huh.
alien
Yep.
noise the frick out of me, and I'm like, how did I end up living? You know what I mean? Just of
Yeah.
course I am. I'm here.
So, what's fascinating though is on that mountain is where the books of Harry Potter were inspired by.
Are you serious?
Yes. So it is a magical mountain connected into the magical realms, the original kingdoms of the earth. And
Really? That
yes,
what's the
it's
woman's name?
I
The
don't remember I don't
yeah.
remember the woman's name of Harry Potter, but she got her inspiration from the magical worlds that exist on that mountain.
Was she visiting?
I
Okay.
believe
Well,
so.
we have a synchronicity here because we have Joanna, who's here live from UK, who, if you hope you don't mind my mentioning, is also an author working on books of this nature. And so that is very interesting to me. Um, so, wow. So she was visiting. She kind of got this inspiration at that mountain. That's really, really interesting. How I see it is it was kind of like a beehive where these gray alien ships were going in and out. And on one of their little excursions that in the 60s, that's when they took all those kids that day. And goodness knows how many other days they were doing that. So it feels gray to me. It does. It feels hollowed out, but it feels like under that gray cap, there's life there that's just waiting to burst forth, but it needs the people to open it so that it can come back out onto the top and flow over like a kind of a plasmic beneficial lava to the area so that we can reactivate the Berkshires again as the healing energy place that it is and was meant to be, that is suffering also because of the loss of the forced relocation of the Mohicans. Okay. A horrific, horrible thing. And you and I were at the Native American Indigenous Day on Columbus Day, where they had a delegation of people who had formally come back from those relocations in Wisconsin to do a river activation clearing of the Housatonic,
Mhm.
right? And so, and the Mohawk are big. Those two peoples converge here. So this is like all part of this reclamation. And I know that you've done a lot of water work too. I'm also aware that we're kind of getting close to the end of our time. Let me just see if I know we've got other comments here. Yeah. And the mountains with cell towers. Oh my God, let's not even. Of course. I mean, the cell tower thing is like an AI EMF scrambling nightmare that is happening on these mountains to scramble the whole area. Yes, J.K. Rowling is that author.
J.K. Rowling.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, let's just focus here because we're coming to the end of our time. Amba, you've already discussed where people can find out about you at, again, please give us your URL.
Yeah, theharmonicgarden.com.
Okay.
And I also teach about Earth guardianship, star guardianship, and galactic guardianship. Those programs are in the formation right now, but I learned a lot, and I'm sharing this soon. And so if you feel like you want to learn about this guardianship work, and this is really clearing the toxins out of the waters, reharmonizing the ley lines, clearing parasitic energies off the planet, reconnecting into the tree kingdoms and the groves, also clearing the black magic from the elemental beings and the tree kingdoms and the Fae kingdoms. So there's a lot of that I've been taught how to do and have been asked to share that. So that's part of my works as well.
Yeah, I'd like to partake of that as well and learn further because, hey, if you're looking for something to do with your time, it can be very useful to get to work doing all this stuff, right? You can do it by yourself. You can do it with others. We can just get this network going. You can do it by going to places. You can do it remotely. There's so much that can be done and that needs to be done on that global level, as well as on this internal level where we are restoring our own trees of life through this inner healing. And we are restoring our own androgyne hermaphrodite through this inner activation of our sacred marriage within, right? So this is all an essential part of this. Amba, any last things you'd like to say?
I'll just give you blessings, and I'll speak a little real quick from my language. We send you our blessings and love from the ancient tree. And just remember too, we are in timelessness. And it's all happening now. We are birthing the new earth through our own being, through our own vision, through our own dream, through our own template. And you have sacred light inside of you that is needed. So come forth in whatever way you're called to share your love with the planet.
Yes, please. We earnestly entreat you, everyone who is watching this live or in replay, please become part of this network if you are not already. And it doesn't take much, just a little bit of intention, even in your meditation and prayer work. So before we go, I just want to remind you to please visit sevensistersmysteryschool.com, which is my school. And you can enjoy the full Radiance Sacred Heart meditation on the link next to this video. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Joanna. I really appreciate that. Please like and share this video. Please subscribe to this channel because that allows us to give more and more of this type of content. And we really appreciate the love coming back to us. Please come back next month in November. We are doing our next live on Friday, November 18th. We plan to have Sarah Walcott and Christy to talk about the magic in Native American, particularly Haudenosaunee traditions, what they know, and what Sarah knows from her ancestry going back to the pre-colonial times and, the the indigenous times of Europe, right? Where we eventually all of us are indigenous, right? And we're going to be talking in advance of Thanksgiving in the US and what is the magic that we can co-conjure together with our Native American brothers and sisters and tuning into our own indigeneity. Okay. Thank you again so much for everything. We will say goodbye for now. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.